Hello, dear friends. This is 40 Nights with the Promised Consoler, and this is night or day 39. Yes, we're almost there in a beautiful journey in parallel to the 40 days in which Jesus Christ entered the desert before the holy days that preceded his transition back to the spiritual realm, and then the so-called appearance that people call resurrection, which is Easter for us on April 16th. Yes, today, as always, we're gonna read a message that was reported by we are very grateful to him, Humberto de Campos. Humberto de Campos, through Chico Xavier, he wrote these narratives about Jesus and unprecedented passages. It's more than words that Jesus spoke. It's about the nonverbal lessons. Then now we're paying attention because it's the Promised Consoler. He said it. He said, I can't explain everything yet, but one day I'll send you the Promised Consoler that will tell you everything that I cannot tell you now, and it will stay with you until the end of times. And why Promised Consoler? Because it's a promise by Jesus. But Consoler, because Jesus has come for those who need help, who are willing to be helped, and those who are feeling well and healthy, even if they are not, we just let them be. The day they change their minds, the message is going to be there for them as well. But do you feel you need it? I need it. And that's why we're spending here. It's no longer a desert for us. It's an oasis, because Jesus is entering the desert of our hearts. And once he's there, a beautiful oasis is formed. And very likely, we're going to transform the desert of our hearts into a beautiful field of production, of love and harmony. Right? Today's chapter, we changed it according to the instructions of the Spirit Mentors. It's chapter 48, 48, The Ambitious Disciple, from the book Lázaro Redivivo. Chapter 48, The Ambitious Disciple, from the book Lázaro Redivivo, which is not yet in English, but coming about as we are sharing with you these chapters. It's gonna be 48, okay? We changed it. The mentors asked us to change, and it's gonna be chapter 48, okay? Let me just share with the network here, say hi to our beautiful community, okay? And if you're asking, why did the mentors change? I think they changed it because we need something else, right? That's why they changed it. We need something else. They know better. We're just following through. And the question is, why not? Why not? So let me share here with the community before share with other friends as well. They ask, and I can't forget. Okay, meanwhile, let me say hi to beautiful Carol Correa, who is here with us. Thank you, Carol, for checking on the app. And Mark Smith as well, right? And here we have it. Lea Severo. Hi, Lea. How are you? Valéria Benfica. How are you? Adilson Araújo. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Luciana and Tuani. How are you? Danny and Erica. How are you? And Nilda, you're here, present. Right here. You guys remember when teachers used to take attendance. Remember? Yeah, but I'm not taking attendance. We're just saying hi, right? And Andrea Torres, how are you? Josara, how are you? Sunshine, sun and flowers. Why not? Thank you. Souza, how are you? Yes, Ceisa, thank you for being here. Duska, yes, Lea Severo, we're very grateful for it. Ceisa, thank you for checking on the chapter number. And Angelita, how are you? Angelita de Paula, Aline da Silva. We are reverent and very respectful to the heritage that comes with our names. Nothing is by chance. We need to embrace it. Is there a part of your name that you dislike? Embrace it, my friend, because it's about you. Nothing is by chance. It's a lesson and a living experience. Nico, how are you? Rihanna there too? Yes or not, right? It's very early in the morning in South Africa. Patricia Lima, how are you? Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Rita de Cássia, welcome. What a beautiful garden you have created for us, Patricia. Thank you. Now, and I know I've seen Monica, yes, is here. And I've seen beautiful Isabella Silvestre. If I'm missing anybody, sometimes the phone is crazy. Put your name. It's good to say hi, so we can feel that we are in this beautiful classroom, intercontinental classroom. And if you are watching us on demand, you're part of the classroom too. Okay, feel it, feel the experience. And Leon Denis, in the book After Death, which you can buy at the website of the Spiritist, the United States Spiritist Federation, spiritist.us. After Death, Leon Denis talks about how we connect with the minds of the authors when we're reading the books. And when you're watching on demand, you're connected to us too. You know, we're connected. We feel you. We receive your thoughts and your feelings, and we wish you also the very best, okay? Thank you, Aline. Thank you. You know, I'm just sharing with you that I'm just a parrot. I just like say the words that I read, but you know, the teachings come from above. You know it. Carlos Pessoni, thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you for being with us as well. Now, today, as always, is surprising. Jesus is the master because everything with him is surprisingly uplifting, joyful, strong, so many feelings. By now, 39 nights, days in this section. We've done others before, but how are you feeling about Jesus? Has this experience changed the way you feel about the teachings and about your connection with Jesus? Has it changed in any way? Think about this. Today, you'll be shocked, most likely. Carol Correa is sharing, we're grateful to Humberto de Campos. Me too. Right, Margaret? Right, Solange. You ready? Let's go. Chapter 48 from the book Lázaro Redivivo, the Ambitious Disciple. Obsessed in his ambition, Judas sought to see Caiaphas in the Sanhedrin. Judas had burned with fantastic dreams. He loved the master, he thought presumptuously. but it was up to him to take care of Jesus' interests. Such validation absorbed Judas. His passion for transient riches thrilled his mind. Unconcerned with his own needs, Judas tried to solve the Lord's problems before the political forces of the time. He would draw on the prestige of the priests. He would shake up Jerusalem. He would take the scepter of the Israelite people in obedience to the traditions of the kings and judges of the past. As soon as the power was consolidated, he would restore to Jesus the leadership and the honor. The Master had been teaching concord, tolerance, patience, and hope. But how to effect the necessary reforms through such simplistic, idealistic attitude? With the attitude of a man enslaved to illusion, the disciple awaited Caiaphas, who did not take long to present himself. In the large room, they began a quiet conversation. After embracing Judas with feigned sympathy, the high priest observed in a cordial tone, "The temple is happy to count on your valuable collaboration." "Oh, yes, it is true," the frivolous apprentice exclaimed, feeling proud of himself. Aware of his own importance in the administration of Jerusalem, Caiaphas once again said to Judas, "We needed someone with enough courage to save the Messiah of Nazareth." "Oh, yes, I understand that situation," said Judas contentedly. "Indeed," continued the head of the temple, "we need a king to restore our political freedom, and the Galileans offer us such an opportunity in good time. In fact, I am very happy to deal with your person, a providential man in the accomplishment who does not waste time with idle words. I have tried indirectly to address other men of those who accompany the Nazarene, but all of them, to my mind, are elusive and indecisive." And raising the pitch of his voice to impress the interlocutor with his verbal assurance, he said, "I, however, believe that your gesture, agreeing to our purposes, will hasten the victory of the Messiah. It will confer high titles upon your companions. They will have a prominent position of dominion, and they will sit in the highest assembly of the chosen people. It is time for freedom, and sure Jesus is the King that Jehovah sends to us." Judas had no place in himself. Such was the contentment that took his heart. However, concerned with the situation of the prophet, whom he owed so much, he asked humbly, "What about the Master?" Caiaphas concealed the sinister feelings that had wandered in his soul and answered in an almost sweet voice, "You certainly will understand the need for seemingly strict measures. The Master, for example, according to the established plan, will be arrested for the sake of personal security. He will be detained so that he will be safe from any unpleasant incident, while we will avail ourselves of the great agglomeration of patriots in the city to proclaim our independence. Once the initial victory is settled, with the submission of the Roman authorities, we will crown the Messiah, who will bear the scepter of power. Judas, the disciple, exulted. Ancient expert on the effects of flattery on the undisciplined and invigilant hearts, Caiaphas continued, "You, my good friend, you will lead the comrades and receive the honors that are due to you until the situation is finally settled. You will take the Messiah's position provisionally, and you will dictate orders until he himself will be able to take it over with the desirable assurance." Very satisfied, Judas was the visitor, asked, "And what should I do initially? What should I initially do?" Caiaphas, the insightful priest, replied naturally, "We have no time to lose. We will compile the necessary paperwork." "How should I do it?" the deceived apprentice asked him. "I will call for witnesses," said the high priest. "And you, Judas, you will answer to all the questions we ask in the affirmative. You will not need to inquire about any particularity. Just answer yes to all the questions asked. Can I guarantee your loyalty?" Judas did not hesitate. He was determined to follow the instructions unconditionally. A few minutes later, a small assembly was organized with judges and witnesses. 2 scribes scribbled to fix the statements. When the meeting was formed, the high priest called the whistleblower and began the interrogation. "Are you a disciple of Jesus of Nazareth?" Confidently, Judas replied, "Yes." "Are you going to make statements to the Sanhedrin as a Jew who is convinced about the holiness of the law?" "Yes." "Do you affirm that the Nazarene Messiah intends on becoming the King of Israel?" "Yes." "Do you guarantee that he promises revolution against the power of Caesar and the authority of Antipas?" "Yes." "Is it true that he hates the Romans?" "Yes." "Do you really want to take advantage of Easter to begin the rebellion?" "Yes." "Will he immediately declare Israel's political emancipation?" "Yes." "Does he promise to fight any obstacles to overthrow the political combinations that exist between Rome and this province in the sense of crowning king himself?" "Yes." Possessing the compromising statements, Caiaphas interrupted the inquiry and ordered Judas to wait in the lobby. He then made arrangements with Romans and Jews so that Jesus would immediately be arrested as a political agitator and exploiter of the public trust. In a few hours, a group of soldiers stood in the vicinity of the temple, waiting for the final order. Compensating Judas with some money, Caiaphas made him feel the need for his guidance in the initial arrest of the Messiah, ensuring that in a short period of time the redemption of Israel would be fulfilled. The invigilant disciple went ahead of everyone and conducted the said occurrence. And when the events marched in another direction, the Iscariot in vain try to catch sight of the authorities, so lavish in promises of fascinating powers. After the process of humiliation, imprisonment, martyrdom, and condemnation of Jesus, the unfaithful apprentice succeeded in finding the high priest and some interpreters of the old law in lively conversation in the Sanhedrin. In tears, Judas begged for the distressing tragedy of the cross to be interrupted. However late, Judas felt that he was a victim of his own ambition. Thus, he returned the silver coins, exclaiming on his knees, "Help me. I committed a crime betraying innocent blood. Vanity has made me lost. Mercy me." However, those questioned as old representatives of human irony simply replied, "Why do we care? This is your problem." Are you still seated? Did you forget to buckle up? How are you feeling? Breathe in and out. Carol, you're shocked? Yeah. It's extremely shocking. Extremely shocking. But the main question for us is, why did we receive this revelation? Because the Spiritist teaching is a revelation in itself. There was a veil. That's what Kardec explains. There was a veil, and the veil is no longer there. Why do we need to know this? How can we feel this scripture? Because this is not humankind's history. This was not disclosed just to tell us part of the truth, because the whole truth is even beyond that. Why do we need to know this information? Where are we? Where are we in this? So let us go back to the very beginning and to the precious and minutious details that the author Humberto de Campos discloses to us. Let's not forget that Humberto de Campos, in the book Good News, Boa Nova, we have already studied. For those who missed it, everything is on YouTube. Kardec Radio has a channel. Just go there and watch it. We read the book that is not yet in English. It's coming about through the Brazilian Spiritist Federation. But we read the book. We discussed. And Humberto de Campos, in the preface of that book, he discloses that he was attending schools of the gospel in the spiritual realm. In the spiritual realm. So he was studying, and he was given permission to come and tell us why. He begins uniting two main words for us that are very significant: obsession and ambition. He repeats throughout the text. We can put the puzzle together: obsession, ambition, fascination, illusion, vanity. The case is made. So let us go back and see where we are. Jussar is saying here, it's so easy to be misguided, especially when we work alone. That's why unity is so important. One keep the other on track. So true. We can't be alone. Exactly. That's why we need Spiritist centers. That's why we have everyone who works at Kardec Radio. It's a team working together. We have the magazine team working together. We have the federation, a team working together. We have, in your family, you have your family working together. Nobody can play the superhero. We need to work in teams. Right, Josara? Thank you for reminding us of it. And by the way, Judas, he was part of the College of Apostles, but he didn't surrender to it. So there are people who are part of organizations, but they don't play like team players. So how good are you at team working? But remember, Jesus apparently came alone, but he knew how to work in teams. But teams that would fulfill what was needed. He didn't participate in any team just because people wanted him to be part of any team. And that's why he was also crucified. He didn't want to do certain types of collaborations that were not coherent. Right? Let me say hi to the friends who got in later. Bianca, how are you? Constance, how are you? McCarthy Claire, how are you, my friend? Right, Marco Carvalho, how are you? So, first and foremost, obsession. Obsession, ambition, illusions, fascination, vanity. And as Josara mentioned here, if we go to the Medium's book by Kardec, chapter 23, titled Obsession, Kardec, for the first time ever in history, he coins the word obsession as a scientific term for Spiritism. Its obsession is what? A persistent negative thought from one mind to another. And in the book Thought and Life, we learn that most part of the cases of obsession happens from incarnate to incarnate. And we're saying here, but every obsession begins with a self-obsession. That's a development that was brought in by André Luiz and then Sueli Caldas Schubert, a scholar in Spiritism in Brazil. She brought the term so we could understand more the teachings. Self-obsession is when we have negative thoughts about our own selves. Do you? Do you have negative thoughts for you? Who doesn't? What do I do, Vanessa? Give yourself a hug. Right now, like this. This is how we give ourselves a hug. Have you ever done it before? No? That's time. Give yourself a hug. Oh, Vanessa, that's weird. Well, get used to it. Yes, self-obsession is when we don't believe our divine potential. We have that voice putting us down, like, who am I? But not me. And that is feeling so guilty. But I am such a bad person. Look what I've done. That's not going to help. That's not going to help. So what do? Learn to love ourselves because we're divine. Turn it around. Turn it around. Read the chapter Guilt in the book Thought and Life, or watch on Facebook at Kardec Radio or YouTube Kardec Radio the reading of the chapter and the breakdown. And on the Spirit Side of Virginia's website last week, we were giving a talk about guilt based on the book Thought and Life. It's there. Think about, you're divine. You cannot continue having negative thoughts persistently about you. Because if you do, mental reflex, you open the door for those who agree with that voice, and they're going to put you down, 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 until you're really down. And look at this. He had fantastic dreams But these dreams were not healthy dreams. Were egotistic, had a lot of vanity. He loved, said Humberto de Campos presumptuously, but he thought he was taking care of Jesus' interests. How can you think of a master and think that you know more than the master? Do you believe you know more than the master? You want to feel it, the measure? Let me give you a measure. When we ask this question, oh, but Jesus is teaching concord, tolerance, patience, but how are we going to do what we have to do with this simple, idealistic attitude? How many people are like this? Yeah, Jesus' teachings are great, but you know, if we follow through that, people are going to do whatever they like with me. They're not going to respect me. They're not going to do what I need. I'm not going to have money to survive and for my family. Just like Judas. Probably we're closer to this mentality than we ever imagined. And that's why we're suffering. He was not taking care of himself. It's written here, unconcerned with his own needs. He tried to solve the Lord's problems before the political issues. The same happens with us. The same happens with us. We start taking care, feeling like we're indispensable in the family life, anywhere, even if it's in the Spiritist Center, in the Spiritist movement. If I'm not here, oh my God, what? Nothing. The world's gonna go on. That's an illusion of the mind. But the ultimate question is this. Do you think like this? Jesus is teaching concord, tolerance, patience, and hope. But how are these going to make us accomplish what we need in this life? That's the thermometer today, to see how close we are to this very, very mentality of Judas. But don't forget, he was truly ambitious regarding material riches. Remember when Jesus first put together the disciples and he had the first meeting? At the end of the meeting, Judas raised his hand and said, but we're going to need money to do what we need to do. Can I pass the hat and the bag and collect? How many people are like this? To the most sacred things, we don't pay attention. And we justify ourselves like Judas did. But Master, we're going to need it. And Jesus was like, it doesn't work this way. But okay, if you want to do it, do it. But then, prophetically, Jesus was already foreseeing the end of the story. But think about this. Jesus knew from the get-go that Judas was surrendering himself to that direction. And he didn't manipulate Judas. He didn't block Judas. He advised. He gave him opportunities to wake himself up, but he gave him freedom. That's another take from this message, the non-verbal lesson of Jesus. You think Jesus didn't know that this was happening on the behind the scene? And he tried to show to Judas with the group, and yet he was deeply immersed. So if you're a father or a mother who has a child and you have worked the hardest you can, and yet this child is derailing Don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. Because Judas was this child that was advised, loved, cared for, but had to go through his own experience. And Jesus, as a good educator, did his best and didn't take it personal. Many parents and educators take it very personal, like I failed. But go to the Spirit's book. By the way, we're celebrating 160 years of that book this year. And in the Spirit's book, Kardec asks this very question. What if the parents do everything right and the child derails? And he said, don't worry. God knows. So don't take it personal at that level. It's hard. It's easier said than done. I know. But the Master is pointing out that direction. You and I are not going to change people's mind. Give up that control. Because even the governor who came in the human flesh, he allowed Judas, Caiaphas, and others to create this piece of their history. His attitude was of a man enslaved to illusion. What is my illusion? What is your illusion? Do you have any illusion? You know, one of the illusions is that we're going to do what nobody has done. That's an illusion. Many people, I've heard women saying, oh, why do you have a relationship with a married man? Because I know the other woman wasn't good enough, but I am the one. It's the Judas mentality. Illusion. We are not here to save anybody. We're not here to be original in any way. What are your illusions? Friends, can we outline in our minds and hearts 3 top illusions? 3 top illusions we may have. Let's face it courageously and work on it so it doesn't play trick on us, okay? Let's face it. Are you enslaved to illusions? Very likely we are. That's where we are anchored. So let us free ourselves by recognizing it, right? Thank you, Rudy, for sharing your thoughts regarding the divine gene inside of us. Sunshine is sharing here. I remember Jesus on the cross even sent the angel of charity to help Judas. Exactly. Remember, we studied that. Thank you, Sunshine, for reminding us. And Rita Di Cassia, anything that we do, keep in mind we're doing to ourselves. Aha. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Intention is everything. And we're emitting, and it's going to be with us. It's a boomerang. And we can't complain later. No, we have to say, oh well, like Saul, Paul, let me work harder to compensate the waste of time, right? And that's why we're here every day at 11 p.m. Right? Okay. Just kidding. But look on the other side. Remember when Emmanuel talks about mental reflexes and how obsession, let me read it for you, do you mind? From the book Thought and Life, Obsession. And I'm opening here, chapter 27. He says quite clearly, besides other things. Usually, obsession is an authentic phenomenon of interaction. So Judas and Caiaphas and the other men were in this interaction. It does not proceed only from the so-called dead to the so-called living. Essentially, it often occurs between incarnate spirits who overpower one another by means of the invisible threads of suggestion. The whole dialogue between Caiaphas and Judas is an example of this interaction that we call obsession. Suggestion. Judas is trying to convince them, and they are suggesting him to do something else. Obsession. Incarnate to discarnate, to incarnate. Obsession. Voluntarily stepping towards it. How many relationships of ours are of that nature? It's this persistent negative influence over one another. Bad friends. Caiaphas was a bad friend. Was a bad friend of Judas. He was not sincere. He was manipulating. The problem is not if the other is doing it. The problem is if I am doing this. That's why I remember one of my teachers when I was in middle school. I'll never forget, he said, I have two children, two sons. One is very outgoing, the other is very introspective. I usually am afraid of the one that is introspective because I don't know what's happening. People have these illusions that the good friends, they're quiet, they understand, they don't say anything. No, the good friends are the ones that look at you in the eye and say, I love you, but let's work on this together. Sincerely. Not because they're criticizing, because they are focused on the goal here. Why are you here reincarnated? To stay here forever? No. You and I are here to do what? The song, Rita Di Cassia, Forgive Me Yesterday. It escaped, but not today. We're gonna sing. Why are we here reincarnated? What is that for? I am a child of God. You are a child of God. We've reincarnated to learn to do good. Reincarnation, the path of progress. Reincarnation, the way to become good, to achieve true happiness. Right? So, creating new habits. And good friends help us create new habits. Do you have long-lasting relationships that like you to be the same old friend and they don't like you when you change for the better? Ay, ay, ay. Those are not two good friends. I don't want to be the discord in your life, but just telling you that we need to pay attention to our ties of sympathy. Okay? They may feel comfortable, but too much comfort does not make us progress. We need a little bit of discomfort. And good friends, they sometimes bring us that wave, pinching us like tick, tick, tick. It's like a little pinch saying, move forward. We can't stay stagnated. We don't regress. We always progress. Right, Rita? Thank you. Hello, Maria Antunes. Forgive us, ok? I hope you get it. But anyhow, esse é o livro Maria Antunes, Lázaro Redivivo, capítulo 48. Ok? All right, because you have it in Portuguese. Now, a little more. Let us observe a little more. They have this complex plot against Jesus. But worse than Caiaphas is Judas, because Judas was considered a close friend. And he didn't mean to betray, but his vanity was blinding him to the point that he thought he was doing a great thing. Is that possible? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Vanity. What is vanity? Vanity is when I think that my things, my thoughts are my beauty, my things, whatever it is number one, blue ribbon. Well, and that pride, that ego can blind us. In the Spirit's book, in the Medium's book, Kardec discloses to us that there are two conditions for us to be connected to superior spirits: humility, selflessness. So vanity can make us derail completely. It's dangerous. Can we ask a question? Therapeutically. You want to be free? Me too. Free of vanity. What can you do? What can I do? Where am I playing the sound of vanity? That song is not good. Where? Where in your life do you see that you are believing that you're at the top of the mountain in any degree, in any way? Revisit and think about a higher level to ground yourself. For example, scientific knowledge. Literally, the more you know, the more you got to know that you don't know. And I tell you, as a scientist, I've been among scientists, and people usually think they are arrogant, and I don't think so, because usually, some maybe, but usually I've seen that the more people get to know things, the more they understand everything so vast. Actually, I found the reverse. People who had more vanity out of science than in science. Because ignorance really makes us feel like we know more than we actually know. We ignore a reference. And in science, daily, you're in touch with other scientists who know other things that you don't know, who know deeper certain areas that you don't know. It's always grounding you, always. I'll describe to you just so you have a feeling. We have these meetings in which several PhDs are working together to analyze a paper, and each one bring a different angle. They bring a different angle. And you have a feeling, that, man, that person knows so much, that part I didn't know. And then you learn from one another. At the end of the day, you go home and say, I need to read more, I need to study more. And then you keep feeding yourself, nourishing yourself, just like us here in the Spiritist teachings. The more we study, the more we want to study. There are people who are here, we're on night 39. They're asking, what's going to happen when we end the night 40 tomorrow? You see? Is there an end? I don't think so. Because the more we know, the more we realize there's more. There's more. And we want more. We want more. Thanks to Chico Xavier, we have a lot more. Thanks to Kardec, to Leon Denis, to Divaldo Franco, to so many wonderful spirits, incarnated, discarnated ones. We have so much that it's like, bring it on. We want more. Let's keep the book club going. Right? Isn't that the feeling? And then our vanity is gonna be like this. But it depends. Where is your vanity? In the beauty in the financial resources, in the scientific knowledge, in a social position? Where is your vanity? Find it, tame it. How do we tame it? By knowing first where it is, identifying, and then looking at it and saying, why do you need this? I sincerely wish we had more information about Judas regarding his childhood, regarding his ways of being raised. We know a little bit, but probably we will know more and more. How he became that person. But one thing we know, he was not doomed to be like that. What we know is that he is a reference for us. I know a man who used to work this closely with Chico Xavier, and one day he gave up. Why? Vanity. He thought his ideas were like fantastic, more than Spiritism. And I know many people in the United States and around the world who know of Spiritism, and they are afraid of walking with the Master in the simplicity because other people are not going to understand. But if you hesitate, how will people know it one day? Somebody has to have the courage. May it be you. Through this, we're being invited to, as we say neuroanatomically, dissecate our vanity. Where is your ambition? Where is your vanity? Do you want people to know you and be at your feet? And I'm saying you could be me too. Because I'm talking here, I'm seeing you and me. I'm not seeing you, I'm seeing me. Though I'm picturing you. But when I see me, I'm asking, Vanessa, what is your vanity? Where is it? Let's have a meeting and change the mind of vanity. But that's where we open the doors. That's where we interact. That's where we can be deeply in trouble. This is the main question for today. And as Humberto de Campos ends this, he understood, I committed a crime betraying innocent blood. Vanity has made me lost. Mercy me. And the ones who were using Judas because of his vanity, he's not a victim, didn't care. They said, now it's with you. It's your problem. And he killed himself. How are you feeling? Courageous? Empowered? Yes, that's the goal. Humberto de Campos revealed this to us to tell us, do not lose your existence, feeding your vanity. Are you feeding the vanity of the people in your life? Have you watched the movie Florence? If you watch it, you're going to see how vanity can be terrible. Sometimes we do that in the lives of our loved ones, of our friends, of our family, of our children. Let's not go there. Let's identify it, tame it, so we don't incur in the ignorance of feeding the most terrible enemy of ours, vanity. And if anything blows in your life to hit you hard in your vanity, let's raise our hands to God and, like Jesus said, thank you, God, for I didn't know what I was thinking, feeding that vanity. Thank you, I don't need it any longer. If that car was the reason for my vanity, if that job was the reason for my vanity, if that relationship was the reason for my vanity, if whatever position was the reason for my vanity, thank you for letting it go away. I actually have not lost anything. I won peace of mind. Let's find out. You have 24 hours to find out where your vanity is, so we can tomorrow, God willing, be together for one more night with the Promised Consoler, consoling our hearts, empowering our minds. For now, a big hug of gratitude. A kiss if you have a question. Send us your message. Thank you, Nilda. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Rita de Castro.